So I don't claim to have all the answers. I don't claim to have any answers really, but I think hopefully I will share some new perspectives and some interesting practical examples of how to use data. So a couple of years back, everyone was talking about big data, and the funny thing is that there was really few people who actually knew a lot about big data. So some claimed it will revolutionize the digital environment. Others, a few, claimed it would be only was a buzzword with no practical impact. But what is a fact is that I think we've seen that big data has become more and more tangible recently. And personally, I think it's because of the digital revolution that it has enforced the need to better gather and utilize the data. So you can just see by the number of companies that are delivering tools and services within the big data atmosphere. It has grown exponentially. And most of those companies has focused on specific use cases to penetrate the market. And of course, when you're working in complex organizations like publishing, you have multiple roles with multiple needs. And I think for publishing in general, a lack of a holistic approach on how to actually aggregate data, analyze data, and action data has resulted that most publishers have implemented all of these multiple tools. So each of these tools fits the various roles in the organization perfectly, and it actually solves the use cases they have really well. But the publishers are left with paying for many tools with overlapping functionality, and that has large discrepancies between them. And I think the last thing is extremely important, because even though you have the same objective, right? You know where you're going, but you have different opinions on where you are. So the front desk look at one tool and have some numbers, and editors are looking at a different tool and have other numbers. How will you ever agree on the right action to get to the objective? You won't. It's impossible. So all of these systems actually start to become confusing. It's becoming confusing for the publishers, and you start to lose focus. You lose focus on the true objectives. I think historically it's been very page view driven. You've been, can this increase my page views? Yes, no. If yes, I will do this story. More recently, we have seen more focus on the users. I think it's partly because obviously the true value of a page view is the one who generates the page view. But I think also it's because that you have all of these new platforms, social media, where you actually can distribute and reach a much larger size of your audience, a much larger audience. And what you see here on your left-hand side is a distribution of users based on engagement for one of our customers. And I can guarantee you it looks the same with small variances for all publishers. And in this case, 93.9% of the users have less than 5 page views a month. Almost 95% of the users, less than 5 page views. And only 1.7% of the users have more than 25 page views a month. That's not a lot, right? It's so little of your audience is actually reading up your content. But from you as a publisher, this audience is worth a lot. You know a lot about this audience. Obviously, for you, it's easy to sell premium advertising products. Those are the ones, if you ever decide to go implement a paywall, these are the ones that are most likely to convert. These are the ones you can get to download an app, sign up for a newsletter. And these are the ones you actually have data to build new revenue streams around. On the other hand, the flyby users, you know nothing about them. You have very little information about them. You will never sell any premium ads around those users. And also, those users are also often associated with social referral traffic. So many of the users don't even know which site they're on, right? But even so, I think it's 95% of your audience. It's almost your whole audience. And here where it gets confusing, right? Because many publishers get caught up in this pursuit to get more users. Because you have the platform, you can reach more users. And you start focusing on that. 95%. It's increasing, we need more users. And you forget who's actually generating the value and who is your core segment. And this becomes very obvious when you map this out in where, which one of the segments consumes how much of the page use. So you can see that the flyby users, being 95% of the users, consumes only 37% of your total page use. Whereas these users, 1.7%, consumes 50% of your page use. So this distribution tells me a couple of things. First of all, you as a publisher, you have to have a core focus on your loyal users, your heavy users. This is where you earn the most value today. It's going to be that long into the future. But on the other side, the flyby users represents an enormous potential. It's such a big potential that you cannot afford to not pursue that one either. So then if you acknowledge that okay, we need to pursue all of these 2 segments, 3 segments, or however you choose to define them, you also need to acknowledge that it's different users. It's totally different preferences. So you can't compare a heavy user consuming 100 page views on your site. If you want to drive engagement, loyalty of them, it's a totally different game than if you are trying to do the same for someone who's only visited your page one time. So even though this is almost, everyone knows this, right? We are treating the users the same. You have all of these roles in an editorial newsroom, working on driving engagement, driving loyalty, but treating the users the same. Front desk team is sitting in one tool, trying to optimize the front page. You have editors working on trying to write more relevant content. Journalists left in the dark, maybe they have a tool, use Google Analytics. You have analysts working on different systems to try to crack the code, right? But you're all thinking of a user as a user. And my take on it is, if you want to drive engagement, if you want to drive loyalty, you have to treat them differently. You have to treat your users differently. A heavy user is totally different from a flyby user. And in order to do so, obviously you need deep understanding of your audience. And you probably see where I'm going and where it is right now. For to get deep understanding of the audience, you have seasons insight. So it's not as deep as many of the specific tools, but it actually gives you the insight you need to do the right decisions. So I think insight is unique in many ways, but there are 3 things I would like to emphasize on. It's, first of all, we track all the users across all devices, all operating systems. We do semantic analysis of all content, meaning this allows us to build deep user profiles, so we truly understand the users. And thirdly, it's actionable. The data is actionable in real time. So I could, of course, continue showing a lot of slides, but I thought I would do a live demo of the product, which is, of course, a bit nerve-wracking, especially when the bandwidth is quite low, which I've tested. But I thought I would just show you, and let's see how it goes. But I will show you how some of our customers use Insight and how that has resulted, what kind of effects they have gotten. How many of you have used Insight? Okay, very good. Yeah, it's quite a lot of you. I think if you have questions, we can do it just continuously, because that makes it easier when I'm demoing. Yes. So I don't have time to go through the whole product, but obviously it's a lot of you who have used it. So I will just jump into some predefined dashboards that we have. This one is for front desking. So how can I optimize my front page? You have a click rate on your front page, obviously being one of the most important metrics when you are measuring engagement on your front page. How many hits the front page, clicks on an article. I think I will up the resolution one bit. Yeah, this was better. You have active users today towards the target, so you can the whole time see how are we in terms of the target. Traffic sources, where is the traffic coming from? All of these basic metrics. Also bounce rate corresponding to traffic sources, right? So social, 75% bounce rate. It's quite high. Maybe we should do something about it. Yeah. Some basic metrics around engagement. You have benchmark data, both on your front and total. And then you have what typically a lot of front desk editors do. They see what is actually being clicked on my front page right now. So you're constantly monitoring that. You will see trend indicators in real time. So if they change the image, change the title, you will immediately see whether it's going up or going down. You also have more of an historical graph on the article. So typically you can see that this article has reached its peak. It's declining in traffic. I can start putting that down on my front page. Whereas this article is still building traffic, and we can boost it and put it higher up on the page. Yes. Also, on the right-hand side, you have top articles now on the total domains, and this way you can easily see that. Oh, I have an article which is going viral in social media. Should I put it up on the front page? So all of these are, I think it's standard standard functionality for any front desk tools. This is how they work. So where am I going with this? Well, the objective is to drive engagement, right? To have a relevant front page for the users. But this setup doesn't give you any insight in who the users are. Who are visiting your front page? Is it a mix of all your users? Is it the heavy users? Is it the flyby users? Obviously, it's good to know if you're trying to do optimize and keeping the front page as relevant as possible, right? So let's see. These are the stats for that site. So out of 440,000 users, 192,000 users were on the front page, and 134,000, meaning 70%, was categorized with 25 page views or more, the heavy users. So when you're trying to keep the front page relevant, you shouldn't look at all the traffic. It's not relevant, right? It is what these guys are interested about, what these guys are engaging about. That is what you should put on your front page. You agree? Or does it make sense? Yeah. I would say yes. No one nodded, but I just, yeah. Yes. Some other tools. This is more of, or dashboard. This is typical for an editor. So it's not specifically on front page editing, but you have all of these basic metrics. Where are user coming from? What is the average reading time on an article? I don't go through this in detail, but because I think it's pretty basic for all of you. What could be interesting, obviously, is that since we are doing semantic analysis of all content, we can see what is trending on topics right now on your content, which could be interesting for an editor to know. Yeah, device types, what kind of sections on your site drive traffic. And just to know, mention, all of this is out of the box, right? It's no instrumentation, there's no tagging of sections, etc. This is extracted automatically. Can you actually see what is... okay, it's really bad resolution. Yes, so it's also gives you the opportunity, of course, to go into articles. So for this article, you actually have a bounce rate of 80.9%. That's your most popular article today, and 80% of them are bouncing. So you can see why are 80% bouncing. And you can drill down into the article, and this is where it gets interesting with the online bandwidth. But typically what you will get here, you will get all the stats for the page. You will have the actual semantic analysis of how we extract the content. And you will see what device are they coming on, where are they coming from. So here it's easy to see Sol, which is a news portal in Norway, is driving this traffic. That's why it's bouncing, right? So I think Sol and Startskinn is the main, almost half of the traffic comes there. That explains part of the bounce. So then the question is, okay, but that's half of the page views, there's still 30% left. Have we tagged up this article? Is it, do we recommend some further articles on this, this page? Okay. Did not find, but you can see from here where we actually call it that you don't, there's no recommended articles. Could be a good idea, right? It's the most popular article you have today. Maybe we should mark it up with some interesting articles. Also in terms, if it could be that it was social media, right? So it was, you have high bounces on social media traffic. And how can you reduce that? Well, then you need to look at what kind of content does these users consume. You can't, again, you can't look at the overall traffic, what is trending. You need to look at what kind of content is users from Facebook on mobile. What do they consume? So you can easily go in here and do device type, okay, I think you just have to take my word for it, but then you can easily go in, choose device type, mobile, and source, choose Facebook as a referral source, and then the whole dashboard would be updated only looking at that traffic. So you as an editor can quickly see, oh, this is the stories that are trending for these users. Also, this is going really bad on live, live demo. You also have here, I don't know why it's stopped now, but here you will have, from an editor perspective, you have performance of each journalist. So it shows how many page views the different journalists are actually creating, which is also interesting from an editorial perspective. And you can easily also drill down into, let's say you don't want to look at all the traffic, you only want to look at the sport traffic, and you can build a filter and it automatically updates with that traffic. So again, you need the flexibility in order to create the right content, to drive engagement. You need the flexibility to have that understanding. You need that one platform to get that common understanding of who are the users, what do they consume, and then how can I actually drive engagement. I think I have to cut the demo short since it's... I'm glad I had some of the workspaces up, but what you're seeing here is a social analyst. It's exactly the same, right? So these are, I forgot to mention, but these are tailored workspaces, but you can alter them as you choose. So you can, it's drag and drop, it's widgets you choose from a widget library. So you can build these for each of the different roles you have in your organization. This is for a social analyst looking purely at the social traffic. So comparing that up with other traffic, how do we benchmark in terms of engagement time? Do Facebook users spend more time, less time on the articles? Which articles are trending? Why? Why are the users coming to read that specific article? So all of these metrics you can drill down into and use to create more relevant experiences for the social referral users. Similar, this is another example, and it's just goes to show, again, one platform, same data. This is for a writer, a journalist in Canada, where you can look at what is the most read articles, what is the most engaging articles that journalist has produced, what are hot topics that is being discussed in his region today, relevant if you want to create content, right? And then also what are trending concepts within his section. This is a sports journalist, so you can start looking into, okay, what kind of persons drive a lot of traffic today? Brendan drives a lot of traffic. There's only 2 articles about Brendan. Maybe I should make another article that spins off the first one to drive even more traffic, right? So you're using all of this data to actually get more engagement, data-driven decision making. Yes, I was hoping to do a lot more demoing, but it's no point. I think you have to, if you don't have access to the product, you need to sign up on the free trial and test it out, because it actually works awesome. Yes. So the question is, I'm telling you that you need one platform, that it's going to improve performance, but do we have any use cases of it? Yes, we do, of course. We have one Nordic publisher who changed seasons with, I think it was 4 different tools in the editorial staff. So we made all of these dashboards for the various roles. We actually made some more dashboards as well, but we went for the front desk, we made for the journalists, we made for the editors, we made for social analysts. And the results, 25% improvement on click rate on the front page. It's quite significant. 28% reduction overall bounce rate. I think, in all fairness, it's not fair to say that we should take all credit for these numbers, because the journalists involved, and they did also a lot of changes, both to their front page and how they produce content. So it's difficult to isolate and say that we have half of it, or 3/3 of it, or 1/5 of it. But that doesn't matter either, right? Because we were part of that journey with that publisher, where we actually achieved some great results. And when we are talking to this publisher today, they are saying it's a totally new drive in the newsroom. Everyone is using the Insight platform, discussing challenges, how to solve them. They all have common ground. It's the same data set. It's much better working environment when you know where you are. And then you can start really discussing how to get to where you want to go. And just one example at the end as well, right? I said it's actionable data. So it doesn't have to be that someone is looking at the monitor and do actions, right? You can use the data with algorithms. So this is a regional publisher in Canada that actually quite recently deployed a fully personalized and automated front page based on our technology, using this data, which I planned to show you, but you got a little piece of. So during that time, they have increased click rate on the front page by 24%, increased the average page views per user with 11%, and a 30% increase in average visit duration. These are just, at least for us, it's outstanding numbers, and it's fully automated. So this has obviously a cost reduction perspective as well, right? But it just goes to show, if you want to drive engagement, if you want to drive loyalty, you can't treat users the same. Because we aren't the same. We are different.